Grab your headphones because today we are stepping into the shoes of an amateur radio sleuth to investigate one of the Cold War's most enduring and honestly eerie mysteries. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're taking a deep dive into a shadowy world of analog signals, geopolitical ghosts, and a broadcast that has literally haunted the airwaves for decades. So, forget your high-speed internet and fiber optics for just a minute. We're going back to the raw, crackling realm of shortwave radio.
Picture this. You're slowly turning the dial on a shortwave radio to exactly 4625 kilohertz. You push past the static, the interference, and then, bam, you hear it. A relentless, droning buzz. It sounds almost like a foghorn, or maybe some kind of mechanical insect. It buzzes 25 times a minute, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it never, ever sleeps. So who exactly is sitting at the other end of this transmitter? And why on earth have they been broadcasting this phantom signal for over 40 years without ever officially claiming it?
Part 1. The 4625 kilohertz Enigma. Before we get into all the wild theories, let's just lay out the hard, tangible facts of what the global community of radio enthusiasts has actually mapped out on this mysterious frequency.
Here's what we know for sure. This station, famously nicknamed the Buzzer, has been blasting a monotonous 1.2-second buzz from Russian military bases since the late 1970s. It broadcasts on 4625 kilohertz using upper sideband mode. And the wildest part? It is completely open and accessible to absolutely anyone in the world with a shortwave radio. By triangulating the signal, sleuths have traced it back to heavily guarded military nodes near St. Petersburg and Moscow. And yeah, it's been active for over 47 continuous years.
Part 2, Decoding the Buzzer. Now, what's truly fascinating is what happens on those super rare occasions when the relentless buzzing actually stops.
Because it's not just a drone, it's a veil covering something much, much bigger. When the buzzing fades, live Russian voices will suddenly break through using rigid, highly structured codes, a format sleuths call a monolith. You'll hear a voice repeat a call sign twice, like NZHTI, NZHTI. Then a 5-digit ID group, a specific Russian code word like Balton-Koka, followed by a seemingly random string of numbers. It is chillingly precise. It's like hearing a human voice acting as a tiny gear in some massive, unseen machine, just sending messages out into the void.
And over the decades, sleuths have logged some totally bizarre anomalies slipping through the static. In '97, we got the first logged call sign. Then, in 2001, someone actually left the mic open. Listeners heard a frustrated voice complain, "I am 143, not receiving the generator." Fast forward to 2010, the station completely breaks character and abruptly plays Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. And more recently, from 2020 to 2024, the frequency turned into a literal battleground. Radio pirates started actively hijacking the signal to blast music, memes, and wage live jamming wars with furious Russian military operators. Part 3. Cold War Radio Tech. To really grasp how a listener sitting in America or Australia can hear a broadcast originating deep inside Russia, we've got to look at the science.
We're talking about the magic of shortwave radio. This tech was the absolute backbone of Cold War communication. Rather than relying on physical cables or relay towers, shortwave essentially uses the Earth's atmosphere as a giant mirror. It bounces radio waves off the ionosphere, letting those signals skip thousands of miles right across oceans and continents.
But you're probably wondering, why the constant buzz? Well, it turns out it's not just to sound spooky. In radio terms, it acts as a mechanical channel marker. Basically, it holds the frequency hostage. By constantly blasting that sound, they make sure no one else can set up shop on 4625 kilohertz. The channel stays crystal clear, always active and instantly ready for an emergency broadcast the absolute second it's needed.
Part 4. Doomsday Conspiracies. Which brings us to the million-dollar question. What exact emergency requires holding a frequency open for nearly half a century?
The most infamous and definitely the most chilling theory out there connects the buzzer to something called the dead hand, also known as perimeter. This is a rumored Cold War-era automated nuclear control system. Think of it as a literal doomsday machine designed to guarantee a retaliatory strike, even if the entire Russian leadership is suddenly wiped out. The logic theorists build here straight out of a thriller. Picture the absolute worst-case scenario.
Step 1. Automated sensors detect high levels of nuclear radiation and seismic blasts. Step 2. The automated dead hand system checks for this exact 4625 kHz radio signal. Step 3. If that usually relentless buzzer is met with dead air, the system assumes the high command is gone. And Step 4. Without any human input at all, it automatically launches a massive swarm of retaliatory ICBMs. Now look, many experts argue this is unlikely because the station does occasionally go down for maintenance, but it still remains the most famous theory out there.
Moving past the doomsday scenarios, there are other highly plausible theories grounded in real espionage history. A lot of folks believe it operates as a classic numbers station, part of an untraceable global spy network, broadcasting one-way, coded instructions to covert operatives out in the field. Another really strong theory? It's simply a massive military readiness check, a constant heartbeat ensuring receiving stations across the Western Military District are alert and their gears working. Some scientific papers even suggest the signal is used to measure changes in the ionosphere.
Part 5. The Immortal Analog Tech. Now we hit a really fascinating geopolitical reality. Why does a clunky, buzzing analog station still exist in our hyper-connected era of 5G and satellite internet?
When you compare the two, the answer is kind of sobering. Modern digital networks are incredibly fast, sure, but they are super fragile during a kinetic conflict. Satellites can be jammed or shot down, and global underwater fiber optic cables can be severed just like that. But old-school analog shortwave, it is fiercely resilient. It's practically indestructible. It requires zero complex global infrastructure, just a transmitter bouncing waves off the sky, and a simple battery-powered receiver on the ground.
47. Just let that number sink in for a second. For over 47 years, through the chaotic fall of the Soviet Union, through massive global geopolitical shifts, and through the entire digital revolution, this analog signal has remained a steadfast, unhackable failsafe. It's a technological dinosaur that simply refuses to go extinct because it works too perfectly.
As one amateur radio sleuth keenly pointed out in an online forum, if war breaks out and the complex technological infrastructure falls, radio signals can still operate. It's an old secret communication system kept as an emergency backup. Think about that. It is the ultimate insurance policy for a military superpower. When all the screens go dark, the radio will still buzz.
And that leaves us with a fascinating paradox. We keep building these incredibly complex, fragile digital worlds, yet the ultimate backup plan is a buzzing box from the 1970s. As digital warfare evolves, will the world's most mysterious analog buzzer actually outlive the internet itself? I hope this explainer sparked your curiosity. Seriously, go find an online shortwave receiver, tune your dial to 4625 kHz, and listen to the mystery for yourself. Who knows what secrets you might hear hiding in the static?